Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we've got another Pictures Worth a Thousand Words episode, and we're specifically going to be doing some video footage we recently found on the National Archives website. This footage is of the battleship's recommissioning in November of 1950 for the Korean War. She was placed today, Monday, November 21st, 2022, is the anniversary of the ship being recommissioned for the first time in 1950 for service in Korea. So that's why we're releasing this video today. The Korean War is often referred to as the Forgotten War, and it seems like there just isn't as much footage or photography of that war as, say, World War II or Vietnam in the 1980s, when this ship was the only battleship in the world for a while, which seems to have been very heavily photographed at those times. So this video is very interesting to me. I'm going to be watching it specifically to see what changes have been made since 1948 when she was last in service. She was only taken out of service for 2 years there at the end of World War II. And so we're going to be looking at how much she's still in her World War II configuration versus how many changes have been made. But first, here's a word from our sponsor. We're in the officer's galley today with the official cooking knife of Battleship New Jersey, Kamikoto kitchen knives. These are made of high-quality Japanese steel. Each knife comes with a certificate of authenticity, instructions on how to sharpen it, and they come in this fine ashwood box, which makes them an excellent gift idea. It's real easy to wrap this up, transport, take it somewhere for Christmas. Each knife is individually inspected and comes with a lifetime guarantee. Our box comes with a set of 3 knives here. I don't know anything about cooking, but we've released some other videos recently where we use these Kamikoto knives to cut fire hose, which is one of the toughest things to cut here on the ship. And they're used by Michelin quality chefs all over the world. Kamikoto has several special offers going on right now and is offering my viewers an extra $50 off with any purchase using discount code BATTLESHIP. This is on top of the other special offers that they have right now for the holiday season. Go to kamikoto.com/battleship today to get your knife set and support the museum. So just off the bat, looking at the thumbnail, a couple of things to point out as we get started. The ceremony, I believe, is taking place in Bayonne, New Jersey. That's where the ship was in mothballs for 2 years, so it would make sense that they are there. We're just looking at a flat pier here, so it's unclear where exactly they are. Looking at this, it is interesting to see that none of her radar antennas or topmasts have been installed yet. It looks like the rest of the ship is intact. I can see 20mm guns, 40mm guns have been uncovered. The ship has clearly been freshly painted. The crane is all wired up for use. It's not lying on the deck. So it's interesting that those antennas have not been reinstalled. Also, you can see that the ship is in a peacetime Measure 13 haze gray overall camouflage scheme. At the end of World War II, the ship never gets camouflaged again. The use of radar really makes it unnecessary. Well, that is quite the crowd that they have on board. Oh, at the 2:22 mark in this video, you can see the new film projection booth, which has a railing built around the top. That booth is still there, even though we don't project film reels anymore, but it doesn't have a railing around it. There you see the Marines marching up, only a couple of Marines. They're still armed with M1 Garands. They haven't been rearmed with anything more modern like M14s. Oh, at the 2:49 mark, you can see that there is an officer standing on the fantail on what is left of the catapult base. The catapult is removed probably at the end of World War II when the ship goes into mothballs at the latest. Oh, the 3-minute mark, you can see Fleet Admiral William F. Halsey at the podium. So we just took a pause to look at our copy of Stillwell, And he says that, yes, I'm correct, the ship is being recommissioned at Bayonne, but she's about to be towed back to the Brooklyn Navy Yard by 16 tugboats because her propulsion plant hasn't been reactivated yet. And that is why the ship's masts and radars have not been installed yet. She was taken from the reserve fleet at Bayonne to Brooklyn. They were doing the work. They brought her back to Bayonne so that she was in New Jersey for the recommissioning. 3 minutes and 35 seconds. You can see the 5-star flag of Admiral Halsey flying from the topmast. So they bring the ship back to Bayonne to recommission her. Governor Driscoll of New Jersey, Carolyn Edison, the original ship's sponsor, and Admirals Halsey and Badger, 2 of the men who made New Jersey their flagship during World War II, are at this ceremony. Here's some great footage of the ship from the pier. Oh my God, look at those 1940s and 50s era cars in the parking lot. Those cars are almost as well armored as the battleship. There's Halsey's car with its 5-star flag. Remember, Halsey is one of only 4 5-star admirals in the entire Navy. Here we've got some admirals coming on board the ship. Coming up the gangway. You will notice that Battleship New Jersey has 2 gangways, one at the bow and one at the stern. The forward gangway is the one for the officers. The stern gangway, there's Halsey walking up onto the O1 level. Looks like he's going back to his old admiral's cabin. The stern gangway is for enlisted sailors. There's some aircraft carriers behind the ship here at the recommissioning. Here's some of the crew. Looks like a couple of the officers are walking past. There's the captain. We've got a shot of the podium up here without any sound. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, and this footage isn't really great enough for me to pick out faces besides Halsey's bulldog face. Here are the Marines again. Officer with his sword. There's the flag raising, so that's probably after commissioning. So that's the end of the footage. I'm going to scroll back through here for a second. I'm looking for something in particular. All right, I scrolled back to the minute 47 mark. Most of this footage takes place at the fantail, but this shows the forward 2 turrets of the ship. And really interestingly, turret 1 still has its rangefinder. That rangefinder will be removed at the Brooklyn Navy Yard during this reactivation period. So this is probably the last footage ever taken of the ship that shows turret 1's rangefinder. Yeah, it is extremely interesting to me that the ship is taken to Brooklyn so that the work can be started, brought back to Bayonne for commissioning, and then taken back to Brooklyn to finish the work. Like I said, we can't install radars or topmasts. The engineering equipment isn't done. They're going to completely disassemble the roof of turret 1 to remove that rangefinder. So even though some of the inactivation work has started, like the 40mm guns are out there, the ship has been repainted, they're no longer in igloos, they didn't finish the work, and I'm not quite sure why this date was selected, why they went back and forth. It may be the availability of important people like Halsey or the governor. Yeah, it is still 3 months before the ship will leave the Brooklyn Navy Yard on January 16th of 51 for shakedown cruises. So this is quite surprising. It's interesting to point out that because the battleship is named after the state of New Jersey, there was a lot of political fighting to get the battleship placed in mothballs at Bayonne, both in 1948 and again in 1957 when she's decommissioned at the end of this Korean War commissioning. And in both cases, she is taken to Bayonne, even though she has to be towed to Brooklyn to be worked on in this case, or in the case of the 1957 decommissioning, she's towed to the Philadelphia Navy Yard in 1962. It seems like they break up the reserve fleet in Bayonne at that time, which makes sense because the ship is then worked on at the Philadelphia Navy Yard before her Vietnam reactivation. So that is interesting. It's also worth pointing out that while New Jersey will be the only battleship in the world in the 1960s and from 1982 to 1984, Missouri is the only American battleship left in commission between 1948 and 1950. So it is interesting that New Jersey, again in the best material condition, is selected to be reactivated first. This will happen again in the 60s and then for the final time in the 80s. And hopefully, if the battleships are ever called back to service, which hopefully doesn't happen, but if it does happen, hopefully the Navy will come on board and say that the staff here at Battleship New Jersey has maintained our ship in the best material condition of any of the other museum ships and choose to bring her back first next time too. The only way we can do that is with your support. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We are also appreciative of the sponsor of today's videos, Kamikoto Kitchen Knives. Remember to check the link in the description below, kamikoto.com/battleship, and use the discount code BATTLESHIP. That will not only support the museum, but it supports one of our sponsors. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about us and our channel. Thanks for watching.